Oh, sorry.
Awesome. Welcome everybody to the first worldwide, global, universal Dancing with Death free telecall. I'll give you a little bit of background on what's happening. First of all, this is a prequel to the series Dancing with Death that was going to start in 2 days' time, but I'm going to be up a mountain in 2 days' time, and it's difficult to sort of do that. So I've moved it back a week to the 5th of May, and I'll actually be at the Choice of Possibilities class with Gary Douglas in Japan. So I'm that is going to contribute to the call, because I'm going to be asking some questions about death to Gary. So it's going to be interesting. So I put it back a week. If you're on the call and you'd like to come on the series, it's $150 for you guys if you book and pay before the 1st of May. So the link's in there right at the top. I thought I'd do the advertising before we started, get it out of the way. Now we had a class called Conversations with Death a couple of weeks ago, and it was phenomenal. It was a 90-minute class. I can't even remember what we talked about because it was so weird and wacky and off the planet, and we really only touched the surface. So what I wanted to do was get more in depth on that, and I decided to create this teleseries called Dancing with Death, and also this freebie that will give you some maybe information and awareness, and maybe bring us all together in a way of looking at death very, very differently. So one of the first things that has shown up is that most people are trying to avoid death, and they're also so in order to avoid death, they make it very significant, and so what you try to avoid often shows up in your life and your living and your body. And death is one of these things that is a taboo subject, and that we don't talk about it, and that's not much fun, and it has some sense of completion to it. And what I get is a lot of humanoids use death as a way to escape the limited choice of this reality. Now, the other day, I had a telecall. I think it was a free telecall on something, or a Facebook Live or something, and I was talking about the 5 elements of this reality, which is sex, relationship, spirituality, power, and money. And those 5 elements are all that are really available in this reality. And for many of us, we desire to have something greater than that. We desire something beyond that. And when we don't get it, or when we start to buy into this reality's point of view that that's all there is, we tend to start dying because we don't have anybody to talk to about these things. Or, well, I didn't when I was growing up, and I'm getting that a lot of you guys didn't really have anyone to talk to that could actually, like pull out the best of you, or what you would like to create as your reality, about happiness and joy and the expansiveness and the magic that we can be, and instant physical actualization of things. And so I know when I was a kid, I think it was about 15 where I actually made a decision that this reality pretty much sucked, and I started to die around 15, and it's been an ongoing, very slow process up until recent years. And up until recently, when I suddenly recognized just what an amazing capacity that I've had with death, and really sort of like going to the absolute brink, which I get that all of you have had that to a certain degree. You've either created a disease, or you've created hell with your financial reality, or you've created hell in your relationships, or any one of those 5 elements that we were talking about. Maybe you've created hell somewhere in that. And our bodies start to die, our financial situation starts to die. And the other cool thing about those 5 elements is that in this reality, you can only have really 2 that work. So if you want all 5 to work, it starts to create a conflict in your reality, and then one part of it will start to die. I noticed that in my own reality with my body. If I couldn't have a great relationship, money, and a great body. One of them would always have to go west. Yeah. So when I first started Access, as you all know, I had created a disease, and I didn't really have any money, but I had a relationship. And then later on, I had a relationship, a bit more money, but I started creating disease again. And more recently, I've had a hell of a lot of money, a great body, and the relationship started to go weird ass again. And what I found today was, because I've been on the feelings telecall, was this clearing, and I'd like to share it with you guys today. It's going to be the main clearing. What feelings are you using to invite death that you are choosing? And everything that is, will you now destroy and uncreate it all, please? Good and bad, right, popcorn, ice, short boys and beyonds. Now, if you are new to Access Consciousness, which I am a facilitator of, and Talk to the Entities facilitator, which I'm a facilitator of, you use that clearing statement. You bring up an energy with a question, and then you clear the energy with that clearing statement. It's clearingstatement.com for more information. But what it really does, this clearing, is it gives you awareness. So it's not designed to clear the shit out of your reality so much. It's designed that when you get it, you get the awareness. And so many of us have misidentified, and I noticed this a lot when I was teaching classes in Japan a couple of years ago, that a lot of people just wanted to run the clearing because they thought if they run the clearing, it will just wipe out whatever crap they are choosing. And it doesn't really necessarily work like that. It helps, but a clearing is not going to senior to choice. So choice is always senior to clearing. And so it's actually a choice that you have to make first. You have to choose that, okay, so death and death entities, and my alignment and agreement with death entities, and my bringing in of death entities, and me using the death energies against me rather than for me. All of these are choices that we're making. And a lot of them are based on the feelings of this reality. And the feelings of this reality keep those 5 elements in place. Because the feelings, when we go into feeling, it keeps that charge in place. If you've all noticed, like feelings of love, feelings of jealousy, feelings of anger, rage, fury, hate, blame, shame, regret, all of these sorts of things, just plain depression, not feeling good about things, only choosing things when you feel good about them, and then it doesn't show up quite the way you want. All of these are charged, and that links into this reality of those 5 elements and holds us in place. And then we don't get to have what we would like to create as our reality, beyond this reality, what we know is possible. So let's run the clearing again. I've forgotten it. Can anyone type it into the chat? That would be awesome. What feelings are you using to invite death into your life are you choosing? And everything that is, will you now destroy and uncreate it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Bad, right, and pop, popcorn, iron, short boys, meals. What feelings are you using to invite death to your body are you choosing? And everything that is, will you now destroy and uncreate it all? Good and
Yes.
bad, rum, pop, popcorn, iron, short boys, and beyonds. I do have a class tomorrow, a free class tomorrow too. If you wanna join us, you'll find it on my webpage somewhere, about creating your life, being the energy, space, and consciousness, and embodying what you desire. So we'll be looking at that more in depth tomorrow. How many of you have actually gone into depression? Has anyone ever done that? Or like, oh, none of you. Okay, it's just me. Every time that you do that, do you notice how your body feels? Does it feel alive and vibrant and strong? Or does it, or do you feel like you just want to curl up in bed and go and never wake up? That's using a feeling to start inviting death to your reality and to your body, to your money flows, to your relationships. And is that actually working for you guys? No. Cool.
No.
So by running this clearing, you might actually start to get an awareness of the thousands and millions of feelings that you're having on a daily basis that's actually inviting death. And not as a transformational process, but as a, oh, I've got to get out of this reality syndrome. So what have you, apparently we're going to change it, but what have you made so vital, valuable, and real about feelings that keeps inviting death to your body, your money, your relationships, and your businesses? Would you now be willing to destroy and uncreate all of that?
Yes.
Good and bad, right, wrong, pop, popcorn, iron, short boys, meals. This is just a short call. It's a taster. So if you have any questions, I'd be really, really grateful. Now, last night I was listening to the feelings call, and which is phenomenal. Gary Douglas, wow. I don't know how he pulls them out of his butt, but he does. It's great. And whilst I was listening to that, I realized that there was an entity that has been in my reality for a very, very long time. And I've been aware of it, but I haven't been really willing to change it. And last night I was. And it was, you're all probably very aware that when an entity talks to you, it usually talks to you in the third person. So it will say, you should do this, or you should go there. Because you as an entity wouldn't talk to you in the third person. You would say, I'm going to create this. I would like to have this. I would like to do this. And for many years, I've had this conversation going on in my head where it's sort of like, oh, God, I've fucked up again. And then this voice comes in and says, Liam, don't worry, everything's going to be okay. Or, Liam, you need to get over this. And it was talking to me with my name. And so it never really quite twigged that that's still a third person. It's an entity. You get it when you get it. And last night I cleared the entity and I realized that it had actually taken over a lot of my body, and I had so much space in my body. It's one of the first times that I've actually been able to feel my body as my own. Yeah, I was always sensing it through another entity. And so I was sensing it through a lot of feeling and not sensing it through my being as a being. Every feeling that you have is an invalidation of your being. So what a lot of entities do is that they use feelings to invalidate you or to control you by the electrical and magnetic charge that they have with the thoughts, the feelings, and the emotions. So if you're inviting entities of death into your reality because you're feeling low or depressed, then you're not going to get much ease in changing things, because a lot of stuff is going to be going on with the entities of death. Now, you invite them and they'll come in, you know. So a lot of you, I know, have capacities with entities that you haven't even started to acknowledge. You've only just started to be at the tip of the iceberg on this stuff. And there is like a whole iceberg under the water. And like I've been dipping my toe under the water and sticking my head, and I'm just realizing right now, after 11 years of working with Shannon O'Hara quite intensely with entities, just how big this truly is. So everywhere where you've been inviting entities, death entities into your life, not as transformational entities, but as entities to get you out of this reality, of this limited choice reality based on feelings, will you now be willing to destroy and uncreate all of that?
Yes. Yeah.
Thank you. Goodbye, right, run, pop, popcorn on short boys minutes. So I've said my 10 cents worth. Have we got any questions? Any juicy stuff? Anything anybody would like to share? It doesn't have to be in the form of a question.
No, Liam, there's a question in the chat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, got to scroll back up. Okay, Lorenza's asking, what does it mean that she always sees the death of someone just a few days before? She's been able to do this since she was a child, and she keeps the connection a few days afterwards. And, you know, they speak, they give messages. She's saying it's quite weird. I don't think so.
Hey, like I'll be asking, okay, what is this? What can I do with this? Can I change it? I don't think you really want to change it. Or yes, you do. What if you did change it? What if you actually start to acknowledge it, that it's part of your capacity, and if you were to start to acknowledge it more, what changes could you create with people with death and with your own life? And also, like, what if you started asking the question, can I have the money now, please, every time that shows up? You know? And it's like I've been having this conversation with death since I've really been willing to receive the entity of death, the Grim Reaper. I've been having this daily conversation with it and asking it to contribute to my life. So, which has been really weird, because in the conversations with death, we had 37 people on that call, and it was a paid call, and I was quite blown away with that. So, and it seemed to create itself from almost nothing. And the people that assisted me in creating it, they were just phenomenal. They were in just so much question. Oh, bing, bing bong, bing bong. So this is a book called Living Beyond Distraction by Gary and Dane. A few things about death. This is Dane talking. One is there is such a resistance to it here, and anything you resist, you create with more intensity. Many people are resisting death while at the same time creating it with all of the non-choice and non-living they are functioning from, which is mainly feelings. They are choosing death while resisting it. They're locking it in place in both directions. So, what physical actualization of the terminal and totally corrosive and corrupting disease of indefinite living and life are you not acknowledging as the destructive element of death as the only choice of your reality? And everything that is, will you now destroy and uncreate it all?
Yes.
Yes.
good and bad, right, wrong, CNI, short boys, and beyonds.
Oh, yeah.
And it's that indefinite life and living that has no label, no definition to it. And it's to get out of, to just go back to that lady's question about her capacities to be able to see the death coming, and being able to talk to the person afterwards. It's like you've got to stay in the question, choice, possibility, and contribution will start to get you out of the feelings that invite death into your body and money flows. So if you start to feel like you're dying, yeah, like you feel like you want to get out of this reality, which is basically all of the so-called negative feelings, then you want to go immediately into question, is this mine? Is this somebody else's? Is this an entity? Yeah. And then use your tools to turn it to sender if it's somebody else. Most of it is somebody else's. Somebody else's.
It's interesting that you say that, Liam, because a lot of the stuff that's coming up in the chat is the feelings around death, anxiety, suffering, grief, those sorts of things that seem to come with death in this reality. And so what else is possible?
Well, that's the thing, like the lady that was acknowledging her capacities with death and death entities, the more and more that you actually acknowledge that, the more and more that you pull that curtain between us and entities, you know, us with bodies and entities, the less and less significance all those feelings have around the pain and the suffering. And when people choose to die, you can be in allowance of their choice. Now, just recently, something showed up in my reality, and then Sunday it just went, and the person that was in my reality chose not to be in my reality anymore. And it was like, wow, that's really interesting choice. And I care for them dearly, and I could see what their choice is going to create. And it was really, really difficult for me to go, I've got to let this person choose. I've got to let them choose. And that's, and okay, I fucked up a little bit, but I kept coming back to choice, question, possibility. I kept coming back to question, okay, because I started to go into those distractor implants like compulsive, you know, I wanted to find out what was going on. I wanted to find out what the choice, why the choice was being made, rather than allowing them to choose. And it may work. Now you've got to be willing to allow the person to choose it, because if they choose it, they will get the awareness of what it's going to create in their reality. And then they may go, oh, I'm going to choose something different. But it has to be their choice. So if you buy into the pain, the suffering and misery and all of the other stuff that is associated, all those feelings that are associated, what you're actually doing is you're actually creating more of this reality of pain, suffering and feelings rather than less.
Yeah, precisely. The other thing that's coming up is the acknowledgement of the feelings, and not the feelings, the acknowledgements of capacities with death and people who are choosing to leave the planet. And people are uncomfortable perhaps with those, and you know, the weirdness of it all in this reality's terms. Yeah. And you know, acknowledging and building the capacities, I would think, would be useful.
Well, try it, see what happens. You know, like, don't take my word for it, and don't take anybody's word for it. play with these tools and see what it creates in your life. It is uncomfortable.
And not judging yourself as things are coming up, and as you're meeting these entities. Yeah.
No. Judge yourself as much as possible.
Okay. No.
We're all really good at it. Like, acknowledge that you're a great judger of yourself.
Yes. I'm sure the most of us would fall into that category. Brilliant.
For me, I have a different point of view about feelings. It's like, it doesn't matter if you go into a feeling. I heard Gary talking about happiness is a feeling and unhappiness is a feeling. But if you choose it, it's totally different. You can choose to be unhappy for 10 seconds, or you could choose to be happy for 10 seconds. If you're choosing it, it's your choice, and then you can choose to change it. It's not a wrongness. No choice is a wrongness. Every choice is going to give you an awareness of something. So if you indulge it, like me, most of you know me, I can be quite intense. If you know me in a personal relationship, I can be really fucking intense, and it pushes a lot of people away. How many of you are so intense that people just can't stand to be around you for too long? And how much of you made that a wrongness? Everything that is really mad to try and uncreate it. Oh, good, bad, right, wrong, pop.
Yeah.
And then how many of you go to the wrongness of you because the person doesn't want to be around you? But I only want to help you. I love you. Oh my God. Everything that is. Good, bad, right, wrong, pop,
Not anymore.
You did not fail. It's just that they can't stand the intensity.
Yes. There's another question as well about suicide. When you're coming up against somebody that you're aware that they're wanting to leave the planet and that there's the suicide.
Yeah.
And,
if somebody wants to commit suicide,
dealing with that. Yeah, because you were talking about choice, allowing people to make the choice for themselves and to experience what that creates.
My sister used to do that thing, and she tried it again recently. She said, "Oh, I'm going to commit suicide. I'm going to commit suicide." She even went on a Facebook page recently and said, it was one of these self-help things, and I'm going to commit suicide. My life sucketh over, and blah 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 blah. And the person that was on the one of the what do you call them? The moderator actually contacted me and said, "Oh, is your sister okay?" And I said, "She does that all the time. She's never going to do it. I mean, she's dying slowly. She's committing a slow emphysema death, but she's not actually going to cut her wrists. Those people that would do it will do it." I had a friend that committed suicide years ago, my best friend. And his sister rang me up the night that he died, and she said, "Oh, Simon just committed suicide." And I said, good joke." She had to tell me 3 times because he was such a fun-loving guy, and he had actually that weekend he had actually had a party which I hadn't gone to, and he had the party so he could say goodbye to everybody. Then he stuck himself in a car and put the car fumes in. The thing is, people that are going to do it are going to do it. Then they're going to make it infinite most of the time, unless you're really, really psychic.
Yeah.
In Japan, it's really interesting because if somebody commits suicide in a house, the rent halves. So
handy thing to know.
If you want a cheap rental, ask for one where somebody has committed suicide.
Bought a book.
And then you can just go in and clear the entity.
Yeah, sure. Oof.
Yeah. Well, that's another thing that's coming up. People are talking about how can we use these death energies for us rather than against us, buying into all the grief and the emotion of it versus, well, how can I use this to my advantage? in what ways can we work this for us?
Yeah, this is where we actually need a lot more time to. I'm not picking my nose; just got an itchy nose. This is where we need a lot more time to go into it, because we're sort of almost at the end of the call. And in the Telecall series, we're going to actually look at more of that sort of stuff. So contributing to people that are choosing death. So that is like people that want to get out of this reality, suicides, people that are choosing death with their financial situations and stuff like that, and what we can be and do, and how we can use entities and our energies with death to be transformational. Yeah. Because the energies of death are really a transformational energy. They're really there. It's like when you look at nature, you know, you see a tree, it grows, it dies, it goes back into the earth, and it transforms, and then it contributes to the next tree that's going to come along, or whatever it is. And so the death energies can be incredibly transformational and not a wrongness. Then we can also talk a lot more about directly communing and talking with entities of death, receiving from death entities, creating money with that, using death energies and entities to create more of your life, talking to loved ones on the other side, and so much more. And it's going to be a call that's really driven by you guys as well. What else is possible? Does that answer the question in a roundabout way? I'm not answering it, is what I'm saying.
Yes, well, it's a great introduction to the idea that we can use those energies or entities for our benefit to create more consciousness in the world and to create magic. And there are probably a godzillion ways that we could communicate and benefit from these energies and our capacities with them.
And like so many of us have capacities in this area. Please share this video around on Facebook. I'm going to put it up. I'm actually going to put it up on YouTube. Then I'll send you the YouTube link. There are some damn good cleanings in here, and some really, really vital, not vital information, but really handy information for people that are starting to choose something different with their lives. And this is what really turns me on. I don't know if she's on, Ruth. No, she's not. She interviewed me the other day.
I am now. Wait, it was down, Liam. I'm sorry. Just came back.
Maybe you can send a link, or put the link in the chat for that interview that you did with me. It was a phenomenal interview, because we're actually talking about what it is that really turns me on. And it, you know, I made that choice to be conscious no matter what 20 years ago. And everything I've done, every choice that I've made has always been going towards that. Sometimes it's not my best choice, but I have gotten awareness and more awareness and more awareness. Just like all of you guys, I'm sure you've made some sort of choice there to have something beyond this reality.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, we wouldn't be here.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I love about my telecalls, is that I very rarely get anybody on that tries to fight, because most people are really wanting to have more, you know. So I'm not really pulling in people that just want to have more of this reality, more of the feelings, more emotions, more thinking. I mean, my God, if I could actually, I might just get a drill one day. I saw a horror movie once where this guy, wow, that's interesting. When I was a kid, I saw this horror movie where this guy had all these voices in his head. Easy for me to say, voices in his head, all these voices in his head, and it drove him nuts, and he tried to drill them out and kill himself. Now, how many of you have had all of those voices in your head? Other people's, entities, your mother's, all thoughts, and it just goes on and on and on and on. And that clearing, how many, what feelings are you using to create the death you are choosing? Will start to get you out of that, the feeling side of it, and you could use it with thoughts. What thoughts am I using to create the death I am choosing? And everything that is, can we now destroy and uncreate it all with our right, wrong,
Yes.
my short boys and beyonds? I mean, you guys are on the forefront of consciousness. I don't know if you know that. You might be sitting at home and you're a hairdresser and you don't think that you're really changing much or contributing much. But just your willingness to keep going, never giving up, and striving for a more conscious reality is phenomenal. Keep acknowledging that. Nobody else is going to acknowledge it for you, other than that, few people that, like myself or Ruth or anyone else on the call. We've got time for one last question, if anybody is brave enough.
There's nothing in the chat, but maybe somebody just wants to speak it out.
Yeah.
Oh. Judy's saying, more money, more fun, more sex.
Yes.
Yes, please.
Well, it's interesting because the same thing is that, that kindness, the caring, the sexual energies, the nurturing, and when we start to have that indefinite life, which was the clearing that I read out earlier, the amount of sexual energy that we have, it also increases, and so that kindness and caring becomes much more a natural part of who we be. And for me, that's really exciting. Sex is not just about copulation; it's about those sexual energies of kindness, caring, nurturing, expansion, orgasmic energies that when we step into them, all those feelings start to go away by magic, by choosing it, by being it. So for me, every time that I'm creating now, I'm looking at the energy of what energy can I be? What can I be here? What is the energy of me as a being? Be that energy. Be the invitation. Be what it is I desire to be, rather than trying to create from the feelings or the thoughts of it.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay. So
wow. It's sort of like there's so many questions that are just wanting to be asked, and I know that I know all of you are going, oh well, it's only a short call, blah 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 blah. Like, please come on the call if you can. If you can, it's great. It's only $150. It's usually $195. Well, it's the first time I've ever done it, so usually it's not true. And like, what can we create together as a group that would be so phenomenal that would actually start to create a total difference with death and death entities?
There is another question, Liam. Somebody's asking about Alzheimer's.
Yeah.
And that's often a slow decline to death, isn't it, in our reality?
Well, it's interesting because it's usually that the being has already left and the body is just there. So I know it may have changed a bit, but I know Gary has said that it's been hard to change Alzheimer's. My grandmother had Alzheimer's. She didn't die of Alzheimer's. She just had a heart attack. So the being had already gone, but if you're a bit weird like me, you may have that capacity where you can lower your borders and barriers so much that you totally lose all definition of this reality. And if you do that with somebody with Alzheimer's, you can actually pull them back to this reality, or back to their body, and you can actually have an ordinary conversation with them. I did that just before my grandmother died. It was really bizarre, because we were just having a normal conversation about her daughter and my mum, and she said, I won't see her again, and blah 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 blah, and she was ready to go, and as the nurse walked in, she disappeared, and her being just left again. So yeah, Alzheimer's people are usually already dead. So, but you may have a capacity to pull them back, whoever that was.
Yes. Yeah. If they are wanting to die, and one would presume by, chuffing off, the being doesn't want to be in the body anymore, is there something that we could facilitate?
Yeah, that's something that we might have a look. If you can bring that Alzheimer's one in on the Telecall series, that would be really great, because there are a whole bunch of things that we can do with that. Bodies don't want to die normally, it's the being. So if a body has a disease, it's because the being is being invalidated, and it wants to leave. So, and we invalidate ourselves with a lot of feelings of this reality. So when somebody says, like I've got a disease and I want out of here, they're trying to kill their body. It's not that their body wants to die. That's the only way that they know how to do it in this tense. That's their choice.
Yeah.
And the body is often giving them an awareness of their choice as well.
Yes.
So,
yes.
In short, with the Alzheimer's thing, it's like question. What question can I be? Choice. What choice do I have here that nobody else has? Contribution. What can I contribute here? And it's literally, you just ask that and you start contributing. You don't need to do anything. And then what else is possible here? That's the possibility. It's just a question. Like everywhere where you guys think that you ask this question and then you've got to have some sort of answer, or you've got to do, rather than just asking the question. Will you now destroy and uncreate all of that, please?
Yes.
Yes.
The bear right round the clock all night, short boys.
But death is a dead end, Liam.
Well, that's this reality's point of view, isn't it? It's actually a transformational. It's just get off one train and onto another. I love Japan because they have so many sort of weird things in Japan about death. And one of them is that in some of the trains, they actually have this LCD screen that actually tells you, oh, we're being delayed by 15 minutes because someone just jumped in front of the train.
I like it. Good idea. Keep us informed.
I love Japan. Anyway, I'm going to call it quits there. I'd like to thank everybody. I'd also like to thank everybody that has been willing to contribute to getting this call out so that you guys actually had this possibility.
Sure.
What else is possible? I'm going to put that link in there again. You can go there to get the call. And I hope to see you on the call. If not, I hope to see you tomorrow on my next call. And truly, what else is possible?
Yes.
What
else is possible?
Good night, everybody.
Good night, Liam. Thank you so much.
Good day.
Merci, Liam.
You can clap or something like that. My buddy loves it, you know. Maybe your buddies like it too.
Woohoo!
Oh my God. Yes.
Oh, you're awesome, Liam.
I
Thank
should have
you.
done something with the bodies. I'm sorry, we'll do that on the call. If you're on the call tomorrow, remind me to do something with the bodies.
Okay.
Okay. Ciao for now.
Thanks.
Bye. Bye.